the tool that I'm going to give you is something that I use all the time. I call it a brain dump, okay? It's so simple. It costs you nothing. You can do it several times a day. Anybody can use this. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to take out a blank piece of paper. I don't care if it's lined or it's printer paper or it's the flip side of a bill that you just paid. And you're going to take that piece of paper and you are going to vomit everything on that paper that is in your brain. Absolutely everything, okay? And you can just dump it all out there. And if you want to get fancy pants with this, you can draw a line down the center of the paper and you can write important stuff on the left and shit I can do later on the right, okay? But you don't even need to do that. I'm just adding that in there because I know a lot of our listeners are very, very, very I like to keep things organized, Mel. No problem. You can add a little pizzazz to your brain dump. I'm so scatterbrained with the ADHD that I just need a blank piece of paper and I just dump it all down there. And so let me think about today what would be on my list. Packing for Boston, calling my daughter to remind her that it's dinner's at 7:30. I got to check in for the plane ticket. I got to make sure that, I haven't even looked at the weather yet. So I don't even know what to pack for Boston. I don't know what it's going to be like in New York when we land there Saturday to support another friend who's doing this concert. Oh, I didn't even pick up my ADHD prescription yet, and I need to get that on the way out of town. And so you can see that just like you, I suffer from not only legitimate overwhelm right now, but I also have a case of lifestyle overwhelm, that I overwhelm myself because I manage all this crap on my head. So you feel a sense of lifestyle overwhelm, brain dump everybody. Get it out of your head and get it down on a piece of paper. Because when you can get it down on a piece of paper, you can be more strategic about creating a system to get it done. And it feels so good to do this. When you're managing all this stuff in your head, this is why going for a walk with a friend is so therapeutic. Not only are you outside, but as you're walking and talking, you know what you're doing? You're brain dumping. You're getting all that stuff that you've been ruminating about out into the air. And when you get it out on a piece of paper by doing a brain dump, just pour it all out there. That's what you need to do. I was about to tell you 15 other things that just came to mind, because what starts happening when you do a brain dump is it's sort of like pulling a thread on a sweater. That sucker just keeps on going. So don't be surprised if there are some days that you fill 3 pages. So now, what do you do now that you've dumped it all out on a piece of paper? You're going to take a highlighter and you're going to highlight the 3 things that you must do today. These are your priority. This is what's important. So what are the 3 things I need to do today? I need to pick up my prescription. I need to pack for Boston. And I need to work on this eulogy. Those are the only 3 things that matter. And you want to know something fascinating about life? Is that if you just can dump everything out and you can highlight the 3 things that really matter, that you get to them today, if there's an emergency or if something else is a true priority, have you ever noticed it gets your attention anyway? If one of your kids is sick or a friend needs you, they call. If you have to fill up the tank of gas, you'll realize when you get in the car and it's on empty, like mine often is because my son borrows the car and never fills the car back up. If you realize you've run out of milk, you'll realize it when you open up the fridge and you'll deal with it. But it's not really that important. It's not life or death. It's not a big thing. You need to pick the 3 things that are the actual priority. So, lifestyle overwhelm. Brain dump, highlight the 3 things that actually matter, and that's how you beat that lie that everything's important. Because when everything's important, nothing is. And you get to say what's important. So pick those things. All right. Our next question is from Cindy. And Cindy's overwhelm comes from the fact that she says yes to everything. I can't wait for you to hear the lie she's telling herself, because I think you're going to relate to this one too.
Hi Mel, this is Cindy. Do you have a strategy for not overcommitting for daily tasks? It sounds so ridiculous when I type it out, but it really is destructive and sparks feelings of failure when I cannot accomplish all I believe I should be able to handle in a single day. Thanks so much.
Oh, Cindy, I love you. Cindy, I relate to you too. You have a case of lifestyle overwhelm. You have perfectionism and you also put a ton of pressure on yourself. And there's this huge lie that we overachievers tell ourselves. You want to hear it? There's so much more I should be doing. Everybody's doing more than me. I should be doing more. I need to do more. Here's the truth. You need to do what needs to get done. And the rest does not matter. And so here is the rule that we're going to build upon. Imagine that you do the brain dump. Your problem is you highlight everything that you just dumped on a piece of paper. And so I'm going to give you this tool. It's called the rule of 3. There are only 3 things that actually matter. And I often say to myself when I start getting a case of lifestyle overwhelm, when I'm trying to add things to the to-do list, when I'm putting pressure on myself to do more, when I feel weird that I'm like kind of done with what needed to get done and now I don't know what to do with myself, so I feel like I should do more. Mel, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. I'll give you an example. This happened to me last night. So last night, I was scurrying around with a case of lifestyle overwhelm because I'm trying to get through my to-do list and I'm realizing, oh my God, I don't have any clean underwear for this frickin' trip. So I've got to do laundry before I have to pack, which of course only makes me feel more overwhelmed. So I grab the basket of laundry. I tromp up the stairs. And as I'm climbing up the stairs to the 2nd floor of our house here in Southern Vermont, I look up and all of the walls in the upstairs hallway are blank. They have a brand new coat of paint on them, but there ain't nothing hanging on these walls. And I immediately feel this wave of overwhelm come over me because I don't have any pictures of our family in our new house. And I've always envisioned that we will do a family picture wall on these 3 walls. And I start to think, oh my God, wait, are we going to do pictures that are black and white with black frames, or should we do those sort of blow up things that wrap the canvas around the things that are sort of like an inch thing and they're colorful? And do I do them different sizes? And I start to feel completely overwhelmed. And then I start to beat myself up for the fact that I haven't done this, that I don't have any pictures identified, that I also let my Shutterfly account go because they just moved to a whole thing where now you have to pay in order to have your pictures stored there. And I have all my old pictures on Shutterfly. And oh my, now I'm beating myself up about that. And so now here I am with a load of laundry. I have put the basket down. I didn't even realize I did. And I'm looking at all 3 walls having a panic attack about these freaking pictures and this project that doesn't fucking matter. Pick 3 things. 3 things, Mel. The rule of 3. The only thing that matters is getting this damn laundry done so that you have underwear to wear while you are delivering a eulogy. And you need to, I don't remember what the 3rd thing was yesterday, but I think I got it done. It doesn't fucking matter, Mel. So don't get overwhelmed about what the 3rd thing was yesterday. You know what the 3 things are today. You got to work on the eulogy. You got to pack for Boston. And what was the 3rd thing? Medicine, right? Oh, yeah, I got to pick up my medicine. Thank you, Amy. See, I don't even know. Lifestyle overwhelm. I have legitimate overwhelm, which means I know that the dial's cranked up right now. And so I also know I need to give myself a little bit of a break, that I am going to be in this state of feeling amped up until I get through this eulogy. That's just the legitimate overwhelm that I'm feeling. But I don't need to add on top of that a dose of lifestyle overwhelm by obsessing over a picture wall that I have not done anything about in 6 months of living here. 6 months. Okay. So that's it. That's it. Okay. And the same is true for you. Lower the pressure. Lower the pressure. And for those of us that have trouble sitting still or relaxing, you got to be really careful about lifestyle overwhelm because it will rob you of your ability to be present. It will rob you of just being able to sit down and read a book or go out into your garden and weed or pick up a phone and make a date to go meet a friend for coffee. And that's how this creeps into your whole life. This lie that you say that you got to be doing more. No, you don't. The whole point of this is to enjoy your life. And catching yourself when you get a case of lifestyle overwhelm and reminding yourself of the rule of 3, that will help you lower the pressure, focus on what matters, and create more time to just chill and enjoy your life. Okay? So Leela is up next, and I love this because she listened to the episode we recently did that you guys loved. Holy cow, it was one of the most shared episodes on Spotify. I'm so glad you got a lot out of it. And a lot of you responded to the fact that I connected your habit of procrastinating to the fight or flight response that we have when we get stressed out. You know how when you get stressed, you have that fight, flight, or freeze. Procrastination is a form of freezing. And so that episode is Procrastination, the Only Way to Stop Procrastination, based on research. Again, we will link to it in the show notes. And Leela had a follow-up question on that, and here it is.
Mel, this is a huge thank you. I'm an artist, and also I procrastinate, and I get stressed, freeze, and then end up doing nothing. I heard what you said on the procrastination episode, and I think wearing the stress backpack is super heavy right now, and I plan to shed it today. I need to manage my time better. So now I need to figure out how to get back to my easel and start painting. I can't wait for your next episode. Thanks so much, Leela.
Hey, it's Mel, and I just want to talk to you since you're watching this on YouTube. First of all, thank you for being a fan of the Mel Robbins podcast. You have made us one of the top-ranking podcasts in the entire world. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because it's your support that allows our team to bring this to you at zero cost. And so that's really important. And I don't want you watching this on YouTube while you're driving a car. Will you take me with you by subscribing to the Mel Robbins podcast on your favorite podcast platform? Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher. You can listen on Audible. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, please subscribe to the Mel Robbins Show. It really matters for a growing show like ours, and it allows us to continue to bring you all this great stuff at zero cost. Okay, let's go back to the show. Leela, I'm so happy you're on our walk today with me and that you shared that, because procrastination is a form of lifestyle overwhelm. And in case you haven't listened to that episode yet, as you're taking this walk with us, when Leela said stress backpack, she's using a term that I used in that episode to basically say all those things that are going on in your life, the things that are causing you stress, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you literally carry it around with you as if all that stress is in a backpack. Joni, my friend who was caring for her mom, backpack of stress. Everybody that you've heard on our walk today, the demands of their life, the pressure that they're putting on themselves, all of that is a stress backpack. And you have one too. And what happens when you feel really stressed out is you can start to freeze. And then what happens when you freeze and you push things off and you procrastinate? You get stuck in lifestyle overwhelm. You're in this vicious cycle of pushing things off and then beating yourself up and then feeling overwhelmed because you're pushing things off that you really want to get to. And so what is the tool here? Because there's a huge lie that you tell yourself when you procrastinate, okay? And I can hear it. And the lie that we tell ourselves is, I can handle this all in my head. That if I think about it, I'm working on it. Not true. Not true. It's one of the reasons why I use that tool of a brain dump all the time, to get it out of my head, to not manage it in my head. Because if it spins in my head, it turns into rumination and nothing gets done. Just like those blank walls, those pictures are not getting done by me spinning thoughts about it. And so the real thing I want you to understand is that if it truly matters, you have to schedule it. Things that matter end up in your calendar. And so one tool that I want you to use, Leela, is ask yourself this. This is a journaling prompt that you can use, everybody, that I just love. How can I make this easy? How can I make this easy? What's the simplest way that you can make it easier to paint. And for me, I'm going to share with you, I have to do the things that are important first thing in the morning. It's not that I'm not an evening person. It's that by the end of the day, I am so wiped out and just gassed. I don't have the stamina or the willpower or the energy to force myself to do things that require energy. David Goggins, who I just love, he has his alter ego, Goggins. Goggins pushes himself and has the mental discipline. And I freaking love that. But I don't want to set up my life so that every night I've saved the thing that really brings me joy. I have to summon up what researchers call, and we've talked about this in other episodes, it's called activation energy. Csikszentmihalyi, who's a famous psychologist from the University of Chicago, studied motivation and flow states extensively and realized that this resistance that we feel to doing things that we've put off, that requires activation energy. And getting out of bed, pushing yourself to paint. For me, it's exercise. And if I put off exercise till the evening, it's not happening. It takes me 100 times more energy to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill at night than it does to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill in the morning. And so ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Maybe you need to do it at night. Maybe that is easier for you. Maybe you need to do it in the morning. Maybe it's the weekend. Or maybe you need to, if you can afford it, you need the structure of a painting class. One of the ways that I jump-started exercising, and I realize not everybody can afford this, but one of the ways I jump-started exercising was to start taking classes again, because I would pay for it and then I was motivated to go. And I knew once I got there, I could outsource the motivation to the instructor that would be yelling at me. Maybe you need a friend to do this with you, or you need somebody that's going to be your accountability partner and be really annoying on Saturday morning and text you and be like, hey, did you paint yet? I'm not meeting you for a walk until you did. And you can trade that kind of thing. I think a lot of you know, for example, that I do a lot of the ice baths, where you climb into a really cold barrel of water, or you jump into an icy pond or a river up here in Vermont, or you take a cold shower. Do you know how I make it easy? I do it with Chris, my husband. Chris is like living with a monk. The dude is so stoic. He just kind of climbs right in there. No big deal. He shames me into doing it. That's how I make it easier. He goes in first. Now I'm like, oh God, now I got to do it. But if I have to do it myself, it's hard. And so that's what I want you to understand. Procrastination creates overwhelm. And chronic procrastination creates a vicious cycle that becomes lifestyle overwhelm. And so understand that. And that's huge that you understand that. And then the second thing I want you to do is remember, get it out of your head. Don't manage it there. It's got to get scheduled in real time. And then ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Because you can. And there's no reason why the things that you need to do have to feel so hard. And the reason why they feel so hard, everybody, is because we're not taking the time to go, okay, first of all, am I in a lifestyle overwhelm situation where I need to be kinder to myself and I need to have more compassion for myself and I need to keep reminding myself that this is a marathon and I need a little bit of stamina and I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I remember when I was doing the talk show, I had this experience where most of my team came from Oprah Winfrey's talk show and from her organization. And so I was surrounded by all these people that were super, super experienced. And my executive producer arranged for me to talk to a really, really famous talk show host whose show is no longer on the air. And this guy spent like an hour talking to me, and I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Mel, being a daytime talk show host, doing 175 shows in 6 months, this is a marathon. He said the most important thing that you could do is protect your stamina and be kind and patient with yourself. And you're not going to be able to live your normal life. You're not going to be able to go out to dinner with friends because if you tape 3 shows in a row at CBS Broadcast Center 4 days a week, you are not going to have energy. And by the way, you can't afford to get sick because the show must go on. And so right now, tell your family and your friends that you love them, but you are about to go into a bunker right now, and you are about to focus on this. And then when you come up for air, you will be able to focus on having fun again and being with everyone else. And I think there are times in your life like that. Maybe you're studying for a dissertation. Maybe you are in the middle of applying to medical school. Maybe you're going through a divorce, or you've lost somebody that you love and you're grieving. That is a moment of legitimate overwhelm. And the best thing that you could do is identify it, call it out for what it is, and be kinder to yourself and remind yourself that if you are, you'll have the stamina to move through this. And you will move through this. And there will be a time in your life where you will not feel this way. But for now, it's about putting yourself first. And for those of us that are also struggling with lifestyle overwhelm, it's okay. You now know. And now you have free, proven, research-backed tools that you can use. You got your brain dump. You got your rule of 3. Remember, it doesn't fucking matter. You can do the photos later. Nobody cares but you. And make it easier. Make it easier. That's it. And this stuff is so powerful. Like it works so quickly. You don't realize how quickly you could break out of overwhelm because, like me, you've probably been stuck in this vicious cycle for so long that it's just the air you breathe. But there is something so much better that's available to you. You can create a better life. And that's why I wanted you to hear from a listener named Michelle last. And pay attention to the joy and the lightness in her voice. I wanted to invite Michelle on this walk with us because I want you to know that this is available to you when you finally take back control and you stop letting overwhelm run your life.
Holy shit, Mel. I just listened to your podcast on procrastination and it changed everything. You're the first person I've heard talk about money anxiety, oh my God, in a way that resonated with me. And you know what? I paid a credit card bill today that was 6 months late. I was in freeze mode, and when you said that on the podcast, I burst out crying. I mean, it was like a gut punch, and you thawed me. I paid that damn bill this morning, and all of a sudden I realized I have more time on my hands. Like, I was sitting there wondering what I was supposed to do. I had energetic time because I'd been thinking about this bill for 6 months. I've been torturing myself and holding myself back from my greatness. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, what if it doesn't have to be hard? What if I can do the damn thing? Thank you so much, Mel. I'm really forever grateful.
Michelle, I'm forever grateful. And I'm really proud of you. And the thing I want to really highlight, because I can hear the energetic freedom. I can hear how light you are. And what I want to point out is, until you do the damn thing, you don't realize how much thinking about something and avoiding it and feeling overwhelmed by it, how much it's robbing you of energy. I relate to that because I feel that way about that damn picture wall. And I've gone through periods of my life where I didn't pay my bills because I couldn't pay my bills, but I thought about my bills all the damn time. Overwhelm is torture. Feeling like you're stuck in a vicious cycle where you got to do more, or you got to move faster, or you got to put this, it's just pressure and it's keeping you stuck there. And so now you know the truth. You can focus. You can prioritize. You can use the rule of 3 and just focus on doing the important things. Not everything is important. And when you stop acting as if it is, you will able to get done what needs to get done. See, overwhelm goes away the minute you start to take control. And that usually happens, honestly, with a simple pen and a blank piece of paper. That's it. Do the brain dump. Pick 3 things. Tell yourself, that doesn't fucking matter today. Remind yourself that anything that is an emergency bubbles its way to the top. And always ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I take the pressure off? How can I do the damn thing? And just pick one of those three and get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pay that bill, make that call, write that next paragraph, roll out that yoga mat, pick up that guitar, or for me, write that eulogy. And then on the plane ride home, log into Shutterfly and see if you can find all of those photos that used to be stored there. Do what you've been avoiding. Follow the rule of 3 and give yourself a fucking break if you're feeling legitimate overwhelm, because it will be over. But you have a choice over whether or not it's your lifestyle anymore. And for crying out loud, stop telling yourself those 4 lies. No, you can't handle it in your head. No, rushing won't make you fit it all in. And no, everything's not of equal importance. And no, you don't need to do more. In fact, you need to do a lot less. You just need to do the things that really matter to you. And when you do that, you, my friend, are going to get your life and all of that energetic time back. And I so want that for you. Whew. I feel better. I hope you feel better. I wish you were here so I could give you a hug. You know, after a great walk with a friend, you give each other a hug. And you're like, okay, when are we doing this again? We're doing this? Yeah, you know when we're doing this again? We're doing this on Thursday. And between now and then, I want to make sure I tell you, I love you. I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to really focus on what matters to you and go create a better life for yourself. Hey, it's Mel. I wanted to interrupt that video because I know you're here on YouTube looking for inspiration, looking for motivation, and looking for empowerment. So I thought we'd take this relationship to the next level. How about you join me in a brand new 3-part training class that I'm teaching right now. It's called Take Control with Mel Robbins. It is free. It is packed with science. It is packed with coaching, and it is packed with action. In fact, this class is so good that the second that you click the link below, you're in, class begins, and I send you an email with a link to the workbook you're going to download. That's right. I'm not joking around here. So if you're ready to tap back into excellence and start executing and winning again, this is an opportunity you cannot afford to miss. Let's stop watching YouTube and let's start doing what you're learning on YouTube. Click below and I'll be the one to push you and coach you into changing your life. All right, I'll see you in class. Now back to the video. I'm going to use this tool that I often use, which I call putting yourself in pause. My cat's about to come. I can hear him meowing. Mr. Noodle. Noodle. Come here, bud. You know, there's nothing like a cat coming into a space to bring you into the moment. Have you ever noticed that? So put yourself in pause. I just want you to do that with me right now. As you could tell, the emotions are totally overwhelming, not only because I'm exhausted and I've been sick, but also because I'm really disappointed. I'm not going to spend the weekend with my daughters. The cat is now on my lap. And I'm going to put myself in pause, and I want you to do this with me right now. Just stop for a second, okay? Close your eyes, unless you're driving a car. Put your hand on your heart, and let's take a deep breath. Just be still for a moment. Take another deep breath. There's power in the pause. And look, the pause isn't going to change what's going on in your life right now. But every time you put yourself in pause,
you become a little bit more equipped to handle it. I think you can hear that I'm starting to gain a little bit of steadiness in my voice. The deep breath helped me come back into my body instead of letting those emotions and the sadness and the fatigue overwhelm me. So today I want you to remember you can put yourself in pause whenever you need it. Just repeat that mindful moment that we shared together. And if someone that you know is sick like me, or they're running on overdrive, which means they're about to become sick like me, or if they just need the reminder to slow down, to take a breath, to put themselves in pause for just a second and gather their strength so they can face whatever they're facing and carry on, please share this message with them. Now, I'm going to be on the couch all day with my cat, Mr. Noodle. I'm going to be taking a big, long pause. And here's my promise. I'll be back to you very soon. And in the meantime, if you want more tools for making your life calmer, simpler, and happier, go listen to the episode, How to Let Go. 2 simple ways to find clarity and move on. And one more thing, in case no one else tells you. Let me be the one to tell you that I love you, I believe in you and your ability to create a better life. And part of that means learning how to slow down, put yourself in pause, take a breath, and gather your strength.
I know you have a specific breathing pattern that is associated with a calmer mind. Can you teach it to us?
I love it so much. It's the 15-second breath. So if you're having a panic attack, this is going to fix it in 2 minutes or less. And what researchers discovered is you take twice as long to breathe out as you breathe in. It produces an automatic relaxation response in your body. So the pattern is this, and it's 4 seconds in.
Okay.
Hold it for 1.5 seconds. 8 seconds out. Hold it for 1.5 seconds.
Will you walk us through it?
So 4 seconds in. Hold it. 8 seconds out. Hold it out. And then repeat. And I have an app called Happy Brain, HAPI Brain, and actually has a pacer that does that for you. And all you have to do is when you see the circle get bigger, breathe in. When you see it get smaller, breathe out. And it's so simple. And try to breathe more diaphragmatically or more with your belly. So let the energy of breathing go lower in your body. And if you just practice this on a regular basis, cortisol will go down. And you're just going to get flooded with a feeling of calmness and relaxation. Now you got to practice. You have to create a pathway in your brain of relaxation.
Why does this 15-second breath work?
Because it stimulates, encourages your brain to go into a parasympathetic state. So there's a difference between stress, what scientists call sympathetic state, has nothing to do with sympathy. It's a bad word. But a sympathetic state is where I was on the beach at Corona del Mar, walking my dog, and I saw 2 pit bulls running toward me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, right? So my heart went fast. I mean, it was panic, and ended up turning out okay. But
Well, what happened? Now I'm on the edge of my seat. Did you pick up your dog? Did they just jump
oh
up
no,
and
he's a big
greet you?
white shepherd,
Oh,
and I got bit. He ended up in the ocean. Yeah, it was sort of a disaster. I still get triggered sometimes, which we should talk about a little bit, because in my elite brain training program,
yeah.
it is critical to eliminate trauma, or at least to learn how to dissipate trauma. Because I love walking on that beach so much. So I actually did a session of EMDR. I don't know if you and I talked about EMDR.
Yep.
It's specific psychological treatment for trauma. It's actually really cool. It is, I have my patients write down 10 of their worst traumas. And then through a specific protocol, I'll have their eyes go back and forth while they bring it up, and it tends to help dissipate it. It's very powerful. Or when I go on that beach now, I'll often find myself doing this.
And what you're doing is rubbing your hands back and forth.
Right. And it's bilateral hemisphere stimulation in my brain, right? I feel it on one side, then the other side. And that just takes the anxiety that I might associate to that beach and washes it away, which can be so helpful. So many people, they drink to manage their anxiety from past trauma. They're using marijuana, now more magic mushrooms. And I'm like, no. There are way better ways to do that are not potentially toxic for your brain.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to come back and do a whole nother episode on that for sure. How do you calm a very busy brain?
So the first simple thing to do is the diaphragmatic breathing, the breathing pattern that we just talked about. The second thing that we haven't talked about, but so important, is to direct your thoughts. I was 28 years old before I learned I didn't have to believe every stupid thing I thought. And I'm in class when I was a psychiatric resident at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center, and I heard my professor say that, and I'm like, no way. Because my mind would fairly torture me. I'm one of 7 children. I was pretty much irrelevant. I have, 5 sisters. There's a lot of chaos in my family. And my mind would torture me. And if you start writing down your negative thoughts and just ask yourself whether or not they're true. And there's a whole process I teach my patients. It's just so helpful that I need to be the director of my mind rather than my ancestors directed, or the voices of my parents directed, or the news, or the gossip at work. I need to be the director. And since I want to be happy, connected, purposeful, I often go, well, does this thought fit me being happy, connected, and purposeful? And Mel, just because you have a thought has nothing to do with whether or not it's true or whether or not it's helpful. Or, everybody has crazy thoughts. Jerry Seinfeld once said the brain is a sneaky organ. All of us have weird, crazy, stupid, sexual, violent thoughts that nobody should ever hear. And just because you have a thought, it doesn't say one thing about you. It's just sort of, like the weather. It's not the thoughts you have that make you suffer. It's the thoughts you attach to that make you suffer. And when you really understand this, so we talked about the physical functioning of your brain. Well, now we're talking about programming.
Yeah, let's stop real quick because I want to ask you a question.
because I want you to talk to the person that has never considered that they could direct their thoughts, or that the things that they think aren't necessarily true. If there's a person hearing this, just like you were 28 years old, sitting in a class when it first entered your mind, other than taking out a notebook and just start to write down the things that are popping in your mind, is there some other way to help someone kick the door open? Because this is a revolutionary and life-changing concept when somebody first entertains the notion, Dr. Amen, that you can direct what you're thinking about and you can dismiss some of the crap that you torture yourself with as untrue. How do you begin this mental training and reprogramming?
So I don't have any tattoos, but if I got one of the first tattoos I would get is it true? It's just start carrying that question around in your head. And so when you get a thought, my wife never listens to me. I've had that thought. If you have that question, then you don't automatically have to attach to it. You can talk back to it. I don't know if you were good at talking back to your parents when you were a teenager, but I was excellent. And no one had ever taught me to talk back to myself. And so we don't have to believe the nonsense that's going on in our head. Just sort of begin to think about it like the weather, and then go, does this thought serve me? Does it help me? Is it even true? And it's so often the lies we tell ourselves that keep us overweight, depressed, and feeble-minded. And it's a revolution, I think, all second graders. I actually have a children's book called Captain Snout and the Superpower Questions, where I teach kids not to believe every stupid thing they think. I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. So you need a little anteater patrolling the streets of your mind.
Today, you and I are going to have a conversation about the one thing that you need to do this week. Just one thing. And there's a reason why you and I are going to talk about this today, because I know you need to hear this. There is only one thing that you and I are going to be doing this week. And I'm thinking about this right now during the holidays, because right now in my life, it's a vacation week. There are kids home. It's between Christmas and New Year's, and I have downtime. But look, there's always chaos in your life. And I say that because regardless of when you're listening to this, but especially during the holidays, this is a message you need to hear. It's a message I need to hear. It's a message everybody needs to hear, because there's only one thing I want you to do this week. Nothing. Do nothing. Wait a minute. Mel Robbins, are you smoking something over there? Did you just say do nothing? And here's the funny part about this. I bet you might be doing something right now, because you're a multitasker and so am I. You're listening to me while you're doing the dishes, while you're walking the dogs. Heck, you and I might be at the point in our relationship where you are actually sitting on the toilet and I'm in the bathroom stall with you as you're listening to this. Don't tell me that you have not taken me into the bathroom, because I can even feel it over here. And I say this because we got to talk about the art of doing nothing. And look, I'm not stupid enough to think that you can actually do nothing. I mean, obviously not. This is like a metaphorical conversation, because you probably have to work. I personally love working between the week of Christmas and New Year, because nobody's there. So you can kind of like work half a day and you get the full-time pay, and it's way more stress-free, and you can get more done because you aren't in a million meetings. But if you do have the time off, let me guess, What are you doing with the time off? You're rearranging your cupboards. You're probably trying to learn Spanish. You're doing a million things on your to-do list. You are like just keeping busy. This week, just stop. Please. I want to explain this concept, this metaphor of doing nothing. Being able to do nothing, whether it's just for a minute, or it's for a day, or it's for a week, this is so important. And I'm having the conversation not only with you, I am talking to myself right now too. I have a hard time doing nothing. Why? Well, because I'm just like you. I'm addicted to being busy. I'm addicted to my to-do list, writing them out, crossing them off, throwing them away, losing them, writing another one, especially in the world today. The world has glamorized being productive, being busy, go, 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 hustles, hustle culture, having a side hustle. I mean, there's so much to hustle around. Some days I literally have no idea what I'm doing. You may always be on the go like I am, but are you actually getting anywhere? That's why I want to talk about the importance, the art, the science of learning how to do nothing on purpose. And before we jump into it, I don't want you to worry, because this is not another podcast episode about meditation. That's not what I'm going to jam down your throat right now. And I also want to say something else. Doing nothing sounds like a luxury, doesn't it? Because when somebody tells me, Mel, just do nothing this week, you know what I say? How about you go F yourself, because I got a company to run and I got bills to pay. And I don't know if this is like something that trust funders do or people that don't have to work, but I got kids home. I got stuff to do. And so I want you to know that if you have young kids, or you're taking care of aging parents, or you're working 2, 3, 4 jobs, or the night shift, I'm talking to you too. Because the art of doing nothing is something that we all need in our lives. We have to figure out how to create moments when we're thinking about nothing, when we're doing nothing, because these moments help you refuel. I think one of the reasons why you and I are constantly so stressed and our minds are like a flywheel always going and we're not that present is because we're never not doing something. And so this week, the only thing that I want you and I to do is nothing. And I'm going to break this down, don't worry. Because doing nothing might just mean that you're going to learn this week how to find 5 minutes to do nothing, to think about nothing. It could mean pushing off your to-do list to next week and committing to doing nothing on it this week. And I need this as much as you do. I mean, when I landed at the airport this week in Albany, Chris picked me up, and I had been gone on a business trip for almost a week, and I had also managed to loop in spending some time with our daughter in Los Angeles. And so here I land. I haven't been home in a week. I jump into the front seat of his pickup truck, and I turn to him like, how about we stop at the grocery store on the way home? And he's like, but I've already gone twice this week. And I'm like, well, we probably need something. And then I caught myself and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I filling the time with something? Why can't I just sit in this pickup truck and do nothing? Why can't I just go home and put my bags in the closet and just enjoy time with our son and with our dogs? Like, why do I have to do something? And you know, here's another one. So last night, Chris builds a fire. And we're sitting there in front of the fire. It's absolutely beautiful. We have a nice quiet evening. We love to play cribbage and backgammon. And so we played around a cribbage. And he beat me. I know you're thinking. Normally I beat him, but it was one of those nights where he just had all the hands. I hate that. And so as the game was wrapping up, Chris got up, walked into the bedroom, went to bed. Do you know what I did? I sat and scrolled through my freaking phone. I don't even know why I did it. I literally sat there and I started scrolling through Instagram, and next thing you know, 35 minutes have gone by. My husband has gone off to bed. He's sound asleep, snoring, sawing logs, like he's already like in la la land in his deep dream state. I have wasted 35 minutes getting all jacked up about everybody else's life and what people are doing in their businesses and the stuff that I'm not doing and the things I need to buy and all that kind of stuff. I was so busy. I could have enjoyed myself if I had put the phone down. Instead, I picked it up because I got to be doing something. I got to be thinking thoughts. I got to be doing the thing. I got to be scrolling through the thing. I could have just gone to bed like Chris did. Had a nice night's sleep. No, not me. I got to always be doing something. Here's the irony of the topic today, everybody. I have no idea how to do nothing. This is something I don't know a lot about, and I need more of it in my life. I know you feel the same way. And I want to talk to you about this because of the number of questions that are pouring in from you at melrobbins.com. Questions about busyness, about stress, about burnout, about never having time for yourself, about anxiety, about stress, about feeling like you're last on your list. And so this week, you and I are going to focus on the art of doing nothing. If you are lucky enough to be off of work this week, I want you to stop and think, what would that mean for you? If you are somebody who has to work this week, I want you to think, what would a moment of doing nothing look like for you? If you're somebody that has a ton going on, like, you kind of have that feeling like, but I can't, but what, nothing? What if I do that? Take a breath. What would nothing look like if you could spend an hour doing nothing? Not really thinking about anything. Not any agenda, but just doing nothing. What comes to mind for me immediately is running a hot bath. That's what comes to mind to me. Just running a hot bath. I'm not even going to bring a book because I don't want to do anything, That'd be pretty awesome. When you start to do nervous system repair, I want you to understand that nervous system repair is your ability to switch between the two nervous systems that you have. That's right. You have two nervous systems. You have a parasympathetic nervous system and you have a sympathetic nervous system. And when you're happy, safe, when the lights are flowing the way they need to, when the dimmers work, when the alarm's off, that is your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the one we want to flip on, okay? That's the nervous system that allows you to relax. It allows you to tap into your confidence. It allows you to focus. It allows you to do your best work. It allows you to let in love and experience joy. I love, love, love the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the other nervous system is the one that we need to deal with, and that's the sympathetic nervous system, which is a really weird name because sympathetic is what researchers call the fight or flight nervous system. Sympathetic is the alarm bell. It's the part of the nervous system that got turned on during traumatic situations. It got turned on as you were experiencing discrimination or poverty or teasing or abandonment or any of the various things that we've talked about that could trigger a traumatic experience. And here's the thing. If that sympathetic nervous system gets flipped on, it can get stuck there. And what you have to repair is you've got to repair it by turning it off when you get triggered. I am telling you that part of the reason why we're having a hard time reclaiming our confidence and our focus and our presence and our contentment in this world today is because we are all in a state where our fight or flight or fawn or freeze nervous system is still on. And we're going to turn it off today. And here's how we're going to do it. Because you've got this wiring, right? Running through your body, just like electricity runs through the walls of a house. And the electricity is always there. Nervous system and the wiring's always there. But in order to turn the lights on and off, you flip a switch. And there is a switch inside you. This is so cool. I wish they taught this to kids in school. This should be human being 101. When they hand a baby in a car seat to parents, they should also give them a little pamphlet about the vagus nerve, because we all need to know this. This is a game changer. The vagus nerve is a treasure in your body. And for free, you can learn how to use it to soothe yourself, to gain your confidence, to flip between being on edge and being calm. And you want to be calm, because when you're calm, you can make better decisions. When you're calm, you're present in your life. When you're calm and confident and safe and secure in your body, you're a better leader. You're better with your family. Like, this is the heart of everything. Because if you're running around like I used to run around, feeling on edge and dysregulated and easily triggered, this is a nervous system issue. That's what this is. This is your nervous system revved up. This is you living on edge as if something's wrong. This is like, when you get a text and you immediately feel like you've done something wrong. And then you rewrite the text 15 times and you throw in emojis so nobody's mad at you. You want to know why you do that? Your nervous system. You're on edge. Everything's a threat. Everything makes you triggered. And so when I got serious about this, I discovered the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is our secret to changing this. It is a light switch that helps you turn the light on or off. And I believe that in some way, your life, or the last 3 years, or the uncertainty that you have come through, or the issues in your life that you have survived, have left the light switch on. Your nervous system is in a state of alert. That annoying light bulb is blinking in the background, and it's time to turn it off. And so we're going to turn it off using the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs from your seat all the way through your body, through every major organ, through your vocal cords, and all the way up to the top of your head. And the technical term, when you flip the switch, is you're, quote, toning the vagus nerve. That's what researchers and neuroscientists say. I just say, let's just flip the switch. Let's just use the vagus nerve. And there's lots of ways that you can do this. So the vagus nerve, when you hum, when you sing, I think one of the reasons why so many of us love singing, whether you're singing in a religious ceremony or you're singing with friends or you're singing in the car as you're driving, you don't realize this, but in addition to just music's awesome, is that when you are singing, you are flipping the switch on the vagus nerve in your vocal cords. Another way that you can flip the switch is high-fiving your heart. So we wrote about this in the High Five Habit. You just take your hands, and let's do this together right now. We're going to put our hands right in the center of our chest. Put one hand right on top of the other. Okay? And then we're going to take a breath together. Here we go. And I want you to just push in, because I really want your vagus nerve to know, okay, we're going to turn you on, and we're going to take another breath in. And then you're going to repeat 3 sentences with me. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. And I bet even just in those 15 seconds, you felt yourself come back home into your body. And if you can hear yourself even thinking those 3 things, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, it's true in this moment. And it's a way for you to signal to the vagus nerve that you've just pressed on that you're okay right now. It's okay. We can flip the switch off. We can come back into our body. And one of the cool things about this high-fiving your heart is we did a study with 164,000 people in 91 countries. So a study with 164,000 data points. And this worked for absolutely everybody that tried it as a calming tool. That a lot of kids started using it in school. Like, you get picked on, you go into the bathroom, high five your heart. You can come back to your center. You can flip off the alarm that got triggered by some kid picking on you, and you can flip the switch and come back into your confidence. People at work, you do a presentation and everybody stares at you like you got 4 heads and nobody says good job and you get triggered. Of course you get triggered. Put your hands on the heart. Come back into your body. Flip the switch off. Regain your calm, confident self. This is available to you. And I want you to use it because I don't think you realize how much your nervous system getting triggered when somebody cuts you off in traffic. Zzz, there it goes. See? Everybody's out to get me. No, they're not. Hands on the heart. Come back into your body. Turn the lights off. Flip the switch. Get your power back. Another way you can do this, take a warm bath. Just go soak in a tub. It's amazing. I love doing that. Absolutely love doing that. And another way that you can do this, you see this all over the internet. Cold exposure therapy. Now, I have a tub that I climb into. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. But this has been transformational because when you put yourself in a situation, whether you're jumping into a lake or you're sitting in a cold bathtub or whatever, standing in a cold shower, just end your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. It sucks. And what you're doing is you're exposing your body to a situation where your nervous system turns on. The lights go on, baby, when you climb into 34-degree water, and it freaks out. And then you calm yourself down by breathing. And you are training yourself that even in situations where I get triggered, even in situations that are awful, like 34-degree water that I'm sitting in, I have the power to flip this switch and calm my ass down, breathe through it, and know that I'm going to be okay. That's a freaking superpower. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, are you shitting me, Mel Robbins? You're telling me to deal with trauma by taking a freaking bath? You're telling me that I can handle abuse from childhood and poverty and all this crap that I've had to deal with losing my spouse and by taking a cold shower? What is wrong with you, woman? Yeah, I am telling you that because this is not about the shower. This is not about the bath. This is about you and your nervous system. This is about you training yourself that you have the power to be okay, no matter what's going on around you. That you are bigger than the things that you survived. That, yeah, by standing in a shower, you're training yourself for confidence, for the capacity to feel something and get triggered and not let it hijack your life. That's what this is about. And when you do that, you take that new you into your life. You take a person who has the capacity to have shit go sideways in your life and not get hijacked by it. You become the kind of person that could have survived horrendous trauma and be able to heal yourself over time. You become someone, there is this incredible power in you. I've spent my whole life feeling rattled and on edge. And I'm telling you, I got serious about healing my nervous system and understanding the role that it plays in my day-to-day life and understanding how when I'm easily triggered and on edge, I'm a shitty mom. And don't even get me started about what a nightmare spouse I am. When I'm nervous and on edge, I make the people that work for me nervous and on edge. I am a better leader, a better parent, a better wife, and I am a way better Mel in terms of what I'm experiencing. And so I've already explained the therapy, EMDR, the guided psychedelic therapy that we have done both as a couple, as individuals. We've recently done something guided by therapists as a family, which was extraordinary. And high-fiving your heart, humming, chanting, all of these things that tone your vagus nerve. But there are 2 other things that you can do that are free that will help you dip a toe in the water of exploration. One is audit your day. Just keep a notebook. This is free. And just notice when the wave of emotion comes up. And all you have to do is just kind of write down just what happened and what triggered it. Was it a particular thing somebody said? Was it a look on their face? Was it just a feeling that you got? And just become curious about it. Not like, oh, something's wrong, but just like, oh, interesting. I wonder where that faulty switch is. I wonder where that little nick is. Where's that little mouse that chewed on something that's making that's a blinking light. That's all that is. So get curious about it. And then start to ask yourself, when you get home tonight and you sit down, it's kind of quiet, go, when else have I felt like this? When else in my life, or who else have I felt this around? What situations where did I have a similar thing? And you'll start to be able to trace back. And that is a pattern of responding to a certain type of situation a certain way. And so you can do this free audit, and that will help you become more self-aware. And that then helps you to apply the tools you just learned in those moments when you feel the surge coming. It also helps you avoid those situations. It helps you talk to somebody about those situations. And one other thing that you can do is journaling is an incredible way to either start or end your day and start to forge not only new neural pathways, but new stories and new awareness around these things. And so one prompt that you can use that we've talked about is, how can I make this easy? Another thing that you could do if what you're seeking is peace is you could write, how can I make today peaceful? How could I make myself feel safe today? Those are all prompts that you can use to cue your mind, body, and spirit and your nervous system that this is something that matters to you, and to really just gain awareness around it, because you are able to be in control of your emotions. You are able to repair your nervous system, and you can take control and not let this response that has been with you for a very long time continue to control you. And that's the opportunity here that's really exciting. If you feel like there's big things that you can't access, that there's this missing piece, that happiness is evading you, that you just can't quite put your finger on why you're in this cycle of relationships, I'm telling you, please take your nervous system seriously. Please start to investigate more about the vagus nerve. And, this is one of those topics where I was going to pull out studies and do all this stuff, but there's so many studies on this. Like, it's sort of like meditation. Which meditation study do you cite? There's so many. The vagus nerve is incredible. The new research coming out about the therapeutic modalities that are helping trauma and depression, all going back to nervous system regulation. Incredible. And your kids are experiencing situations that make their nervous systems sound the alarm. And so you can teach them these tools too. And when you do, what you're training yourself to do is you're training yourself to locate this power source inside you. Because we all know there are going to be things in life that trigger you, period. There are going to be moments where I walk on snow and I go right back to that car crash. But I don't have to let that memory or that trauma experience then ruin the rest of the day. I can come back into my center and turn the light switch off. I can find my power. There are going to be plenty of people that tell me no in business. And I get bummed and I get rattled and I go down the rabbit hole. I'm not good enough. And I can soak in my misery and wallow for a little bit. And then I can locate the switch inside me and I can turn the alarm off. And so can you. And when you do, you will discover that not only is there a whole different world out there waiting for you, but there's a whole different you waiting inside of you that will allow you to experience happiness and presence at a capacity that you can't imagine. Like, if you've ever gotten a puppy or a kitten, or you've ever had a baby, or you've ever fallen in love, these experiences make you realize you have a capacity for love that's greater than you realized. And doing the work to locate the vagus nerve and flip the switch on and off and settle my nervous system from disruption and dysregulation and on edgeness to calm, cool okayness. It's been the single biggest change I've ever made in terms of the impact that it's had on the quality of my day-to-day life. And so we're going to do a shitload of shows on this. And I'm going to introduce you to all kinds of things you can do over time. We are just getting started on this, but I think that particularly this time of year, whenever it is that you're listening to this, as you're thinking about ways to be happier and healthier, this is a huge component of it. And so please locate that switch and start flipping it off.